Hi, I'm in the workshop today and I want to talk to you about biosecurity. Now, we have decided that we're only ever going to hatch eggs and grow chicks and cockles through hatching. We're never going to buy in new birds to increase the size of the flock. What that means is that we heavily reduce the risk of our flock becoming infected with diseases, with creepy crawlies like red mite, and we reduce the risk of our chickens getting intestinal worms. Now, intestinal worms is the one thing which we can't eliminate completely. How it actually works is that wild birds can come into the areas where your chickens are kept, particularly if they're outside. They will drop their feces on the ground, and if they are infected with worms, the eggs from those intestinal worms will go into the soil. Your chickens then come along, have a little bit of scratch around, peck at the grass, do their little bit of grazing and ingest the eggs. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do to minimise the risk of those worms taking control of your bird's intestines and your bird's losing condition and really becoming lethargic and quite ill. The first thing you can do is use a product like this, which is Vermex. It has a lot of cinnamon in it, it has a lot of garlic in it, it's all natural ingredients. You pop some drops of that in your chicken waterers, and the idea is that the worms don't like it. It makes the intestine of your chickens an inhospitable place, and the worms go, no thank you, and will actually allow the chicken to let them out through the normal feces. Unfortunately, it's not guaranteed, and it only makes the intestine an inhospitable place. The only thing that will actually kill worms is something like Flubenvet, which is a full wormer. Now, we apply Flubenvet twice a year through a layers pellet replacement. So we'll take the layers pellets out of the feeders and put in this marriages version, and all it is standard pellets which have been coated with the wormer. The chickens get that for 1 week. They're not allowed any treats through that period, so you can imagine how upset they're going to be with me. They're going to be standoffish and ignoring me by the end of the week, but it's for their own good and for their own health. Now, we do that prophylactically, so we treat them in March and we treat them in September. In all the years that we've had chickens, we have never had worms within the flock. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop prophylactically treating them. I'm just actually thinking that that's evidence that what we're doing works for our chickens. So these are the feeders that we use. They're treadle feeders, and when I'm replacing the normal layers pellets with the Flubenvet, I will tie the treadle part down so that the lid can't open as I spill out the food that's already in there. Now, we've had these feeders for quite a while. They are about 7 years old, but they're standing up incredibly well and showing very few parts of wear. Now, all I'll do is pop the lid off now, and it's almost ready to go. So, excuse me while I stand up and tip all of the food into the bucket, and you can see there that Gannet has come to investigate. So you just have to bear with me while I make sure that everything is out of the feeder. Pop it back down. Oops, I have actually missed a little bit, so Gannet photobombing the shot. Sorry about that, folks. She's always first in line to take control. So that's the last of the feed out from the grandpa's feeder. What I need to do now is go and grab the Flubenvet. Now, please just bear with me for a second because I've actually got to open the sack. I'm not very good at this. I really ought to have practiced this before I put it all on film. So the sack just then gets poured into the feeder. Now, as I've said before, this is Layers pellets covered with a specialist worming treatment. It's made by Marriages Feeds, and it's the one that we normally buy in. Now, you have to have a veterinary prescription to get these Layers pellets, but it's actually quite a simple process. If you find a stockist, they will ask for details of your flock. They will make sure that you're not overprescribed, that you're not buying too much feed. And once they've asked some very simple questions and made sure that you know what you're doing, they will send the pellets to you. And that's it done. I've released the treadle, as you can see, and it's ready for the chickens to start feeding. We have 2 of these Grandpa's feeders. This one now has the Fluvenvet coated wormer pellets in it, and I'm actually going to remove this second one from the field just so that we've got the opportunity to empty it out and give it a really good spring clean so that it's scrubbed down and back to looking pristine. Now, the chickens are not going to be happy with no treats during this week, but they have to only have access to this wormer treatment for it to be fully effective. Now, as you can see, Gannett's come to join me, but I really don't think that's going to last during this week. Check in with us in a week's time to see how things have gone, and we hope to see you soon.